Hello once again, and welcome to another edition of the SaskAgToday.com Roundtable. I'm joined by the Chief Agricultural Editor for SaskAgToday.com, Kevin Hursh, as well as Ryan Young, who is the Agri-News Director at 620 CKRM in Regina. I'm Doug Falconer, Agriculture Director at GX94 in Yorkton, and we've had a couple of weeks break, but over the past week, we did see some seeding action get underway, and Kevin, I understand you yourself have done a little bit of seeding already this spring.
Done a little bit. Then we got a big rain. Well, big for us, about 8 tenths over a few days, and just back at it, trying to seed today. Did a little bit of spraying yesterday. Tried to do a little bit of spraying today, and as we speak, my sprayer is stuck in a mud puddle. So uh, it is wet right here, but I know many areas to the south of us didn't get as much moisture, and they've been going quite steadily. And then in your guys' country, that snow that came, I imagine that's put a delay on things temporarily.
Yeah, we didn't get as much here in Yorkton as they did along the Trans-Canada Highway, basically from Grenfell to the Manitoba boundary. Ryan, how about your way? You're just west of Regina. Has there been any field activity in your area over the past week?
Not that I've noticed around me specifically, but I did kind of ask around producers that I know of around the province as to where they're at in terms of preparing for seeding and whether they've started or not. Kevin included. He just mentioned that, he's just getting underway with seeding. Brett Halstead is about 7 to 10 days away from starting. He farms around the Nokomis area. Who else did I talk to? There was another person.
Jake Legui, you talked
Yeah,
to,
Jake
right?
Legui. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, he's the chair of SaskAgToday. He farms around the Fillmore area in the southeast, and he was actually planning on starting seeding this week, but with all the precipitation that we've had this week, that's put a bit of a pause on those plans. So while he's waiting, he's just doing maintenance work and projects around the shops. So depending on where you are, still waiting for the most part, but unless if you're in the southwest or the most southern parts of the province, you're just getting underway.
Have you guys heard when SaskAg may start coming out with crop reports?
When I talked to Tice Massich with the Ministry of Ag, he said it could be another couple of weeks yet.
Okay.
Farm Credit Canada put out farmland rental rates earlier this week or late last week. And Kevin, you delved into those numbers a bit.
Yeah, they don't actually publish a rental rate. What they do is, they take rental rates and express them as a rent to price ratio. So they take the rental rate divided by the land value to come up with an average rate. And it is there's a wide variation, but the average in Saskatchewan, 3.1%. So it's an interesting tool just to give you a ballpark of what rental rates might be in your area. If you're $3,000 an acre land, and land prices are a lot more transparent than rental rates. So if you had $3,000 an acre land, apply that 3.1%, you come out with something like $95 an acre. Now, like I say, there's a broad range in those numbers, but that is the average, and it's a useful report if producers want to go onto the FCC website and look through that. Some interesting analysis there.
The Water Security Agency of Saskatchewan announced that their Agricultural Water Management Fund is available for another year. Of course, the release just came out on Monday, April 21st, and we learned that the deadline to apply is April 30th, so it's not too far off. But I spoke to Naomi Paley, who works for the Water Security Agency here in Yorkton, and she said Eastern Saskatchewan is kind of the pothole of Saskatchewan, so that's where a lot of that funding goes. Does that surprise you at all?
No, I'm not surprised at all. Water drainage is almost a non-issue here in much of the western side of the province, but certainly in pothole country and where there's significant numbers of bodies of water that can be quite easily drained. They have a mechanism to pass the regulations and do that and provide some support for doing it. It's a little too bad that they weren't promoting it more in advance of the deadline, but nonetheless, it's there, and a lot of producers probably were aware of the program, despite the news release coming out late.
And Ryan, the latest on cattle prices, you had a chance to speak with Emily Schmidt from the Saskatchewan Ministry of Agriculture on that, and how have cattle prices been over the past week or so?
They're still holding up and they're still doing pretty good. In fact, Emily mentioned that for the heifer side, the 7 to 800 pound weight category averaged over $400 per hundredweight for the first time ever. And over on the steer side, the 3 to 400 pound category surpassed the $600 mark for the first time. So, uh, despite all the external factors and everything that's been going on, cattle prices are still doing really well. And obviously, one of the factors being the spring cattle run here. If you kind of look at the volume of cattle marketed for this past week, I think it was right around 3,000 head of cattle. That was 3,907 head of cattle was marketed last week, a bit down from 4,100 the prior week. So that's kind of wrapping up, obviously, and the futures market is also kind of supporting the cash prices as well, and they've actually been supporting the cash market for the last several weeks now. So again, despite everything that's been going on, the cattle prices seem to be going up, and I know that a lot of livestock producers are taking full advantage of that.
Kevin, are you surprised by that?
Those are astounding prices for 3 to 4 weights, 5 to 6 weights, all through. Just we couldn't have imagined prices like that a few years ago. There's a shortage of beef across North America. It's amazing to me that consumers have continued to buy beef at the ever escalating price in the store. So it's certainly good times, and with some moisture, producers being we look forward to good grass growth in many areas this spring and summer, and that's really good news. The cattle industry has probably never been this buoyant.
And Ryan, you had a chance to speak with Adam Pacalo from Ventum Financial in Winnipeg this week about the grain and oilseed prices, and I guess those numbers were kind of switching from the May to the July contracts now.
That's correct. Picalo and everybody else is going to be focusing their attention on the July contracts as we're heading towards the end of April here. And typically, the last week of the months is usually when contracts kind of switch here. So, starting with July canola, closed this afternoon at $701.80 a metric ton. That's up $4.40 on the day and up $26 this week. So, that's pretty good. For July Minneapolis wheat, it closed at $6.06 a bushel. That's down 1.5 cents in trading today, and down 13 cents a bushel this week overall. So, Picalo noted for canola, it actually reached a high of $704 a ton this week, which is pretty good. It kind of briefly reached that, and then when we were talking, it went down to 699. Now it's back up to 701.80, and he would like to see the contract kind of reach $725. That's kind of the area of resistance for that. Um, in terms of any external factors that could push it up there, bean oil prices have been pretty good, he said, at its highest level since October of 2023, actually. So quite a ways. And he also thinks soybeans could keep going higher. One sign in particular, some de-escalation between China and the United States. There seems to be signs of that happening as he said China is exempting certain U.S. products from the tariffs. So we'll see if that actually has an effect on canola prices and if that shoots it up. And then for wheat prices, not a whole lot in terms of external factors. It's going to take a bullish kind of weather-related news item of significance to push wheat prices up. So he's going to continue to keep an eye on that.
Kevin, your thoughts on the grain and oilseed prices over the past week?
It's been amazing to see the run in canola prices, and a lot of analysts believe that Stats Canada uh, overestimated how much canola is available. And if you look at the export and crushing pace, there's many analysts believe we're just running short of supply until we get to new crops. So that combined with the factors that Ryan was talking about have really pushed that market higher. Cash prices now well over $15 a bushel everywhere, and that's an amazing number compared to just a few months ago.
We're having this conversation on the last Friday of April, and in Saskatoon this weekend, a very busy weekend. First of all, the Western Dairy Expo is underway in Saskatoon. I'm not sure if you've ever taken that in, Kevin, but sounds like it brings in a lot of dairy cattle from right across Western Canada.
Which is really amazing that Saskatchewan's a lightweight when it comes to dairy production. I think we only have 165 dairy farms in the province, but some very top-notch enterprises, some great breeding stock, and it's interesting that Saskatchewan can be a hub to bring a show like this together. And that whole area from Saskatoon up to Rosthern is really the dairy area of Saskatchewan. There are dairies elsewhere in the Regina area and in the Moose Jaw area and scattered here and there. But the vast majority of them are located Saskatoon and north in that hub. So great to see that they can put on a show like that and bring in exhibitors and young people from other provinces.
And we also see on Saturday night will be the Saskatchewan Agriculture Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And that's probably something you've been to a time or two as well.
Yeah, and great to see the current round of inductees and hear them profiled and it's just a difficult time to attend. Oftentimes it's friends and family and colleagues that fill out the banquet, but they've really they've tried various times for announcing. They've tried various places and venues to hold the induction ceremony, and I think they've really hit on a really good one where they held it at the Western Development Museum in Saskatoon, which actually houses the SaskAg Hall of Fame, and it's a great event.
And looking ahead to next week, of course, Monday is federal election day. And I guess we will be waiting to see who our next agriculture minister will be. And depends on which party, of course, wins. Ryan, I'm sure you'll be watching things closely and helping out with election night there in Regina.
Yeah, I'll be helping out more behind the scenes, getting everything ready and helping out with our live coverage, which you can hear on 620 CKRM as well as on our website, sasktoday.ca. And looking forward to it. My gut is kind of telling me that, and I guess this will be my prediction anyway. I'm thinking the Conservatives will squeak out a minority government purely based on historical precedents. From what I've noticed anyway, with any government of the day that has lasted at least 10 years. Liberals close enough, nine and a bit. But any government that has lasted over 10 years is highly likely to be booted out by the next party that forms government. So that's my prediction for Monday.
Kevin, you'll be watching it closely, and will you be? It's probably going to be pretty important to see who becomes our agriculture minister this time around.
And I think that the current critic for the Conservatives, John Barlow, would be a front runner. The current Agriculture Minister, Cody Blois, for the Liberals would be a front runner. You would think that being put in that position just before the election, he would probably maintain that after the election. Unlike Ryan, and it's not what I'm wishing for, but I believe we're going to see a return to a liberal government. I just can't believe the polls are all that out of whack. My prediction, for what it's worth, is that we will see a liberal government come Monday night.
All right. On that note, that will conclude this week's edition of the SaskAgToday.com Roundtable. On behalf of Chief Agricultural Editor for SaskAgToday.com, Kevin Hursh, and 620 CKRM Regina Agri-News Director Ryan Young, I'm Doug Falconer, Agriculture Director at GX94 in Yorkton, saying so long until next time.